Welcome back, welcome back. This is P5, and P5, let me zoom in, is just to review the design with others to identify and inform improvements to the proposed solution. Now, again, the designs that you would have done in P4 would have been something along the lines of pseudocode, flowchart, and for me, I also put sketches in here. Now, I don't think many people do sketches, but just in case you do, that's what I would do here. What I would do is have a section called pseudocode review, have roughly 3 or 4 people. I would say 4 people might be good. So I've got Bob the Builder for my person 1, person 2 Dora the Explorer, person 3 Son Goku, and person 4 Ichigo Kurosaki. So I would use these 4 people to give me good points about my design and also give me some points that need improving. So I know for a fact that one of the things I want to improve in my pseudocode is the fact that it's not detailed enough. It doesn't actually repeat every single process. And probably the same thing with my flowchart as well. So give them access to your document, this table, send it to them whichever way you want. Have them fill in good points. Have them fill in the section that needs improving. Now, I'm not going to do it here because, again, it's just going to take really long. Have person 1, 2, 3, and 4 do the same thing for pseudocode. Not the same comments, but have them look over it and have them tell you what could potentially be improved. Then I'm going to scroll down. Going to go to flowchart and have those same 4 people or different people, it really doesn't matter. Once you have 3 or 4 people doing the reviews, and have them do exactly the same thing. So have them look at the flowchart, have them give you some good pointers. It's very neat, it's very easy to read, it's very detailed, needs improving. Maybe have different shapes as different colors. Maybe start and stop could be red and green. So start could be green, stop could be red, have decision be blue, have process be green, whatever the case is, whatever comments they decide to put in, make it more detailed, make it less detailed, show where the loops are by putting a box around stuff. Again, it really doesn't matter. Simply have them do stuff that they think needs improving. And down here, again, I've got sketches review. You're going to do the same thing again, good things about your sketch. So if you're someone who is definitely going to do a GUI, then I would do a sketch. And again, a sketch doesn't need to be perfect. A sketch could simply be, let's open Paint. Do I have Paint? Yep. Imagine I was using like paper, right? Let me just stretch this out. Imagine I was using paper, A4 paper, and I grabbed my pen and I was like, okay, this is what my GUI is going to look like. It's going to have a thing here. It's going to have maybe Teams, T-E-A-M-S along the left here. We're going to have games here. Just draw out whatever you think using pencil and paper. Draw out whatever you think your GUI is going to look like. Now, because this is design phase, and I would actually suggest that most people use Agile. Agile will actually allow you to make changes as and when you see fit. So even if you don't stick to your designs perfectly because you think, oh, actually, I found an easier way or I found a better way to do this, that's perfectly fine. So you're going to have 3 sections in here. You're going to have pseudocode review, you're going to have a flowchart review, you're going to have sketches review. Now, you don't need to do them in boxes like this or in tables like this. This was just me trying to make it very obvious where one thing starts and one thing stops. Do it any which way you want. You could have the person do a few bullet points. So for example, on the flowchart review, person 1, Bob the Builder, you could just have Bob the Builder do a few bullet points, describing, explaining what was good and what was bad. And after that, this is the main part. After that, after they've done their reviews, you're going to put a section called changes to be made. Again, I like to make things so obvious that the examiner has no guessing, oh, where should I find this? Where should I find? Make it very, very obvious. So what you've done your reviews at the top. You had people comment on things that were good and things that were bad. Then under that, you're going to have changes to be made. So you yourself as designer, developer, you've gone over everything that everyone has said. And you've looked at some of them and thought, that one's a bit too hard. I'm not going to do that one. So let's cross that one off. That one looks a bit easy. So for example, one of the ones I've said in mine, obviously it wasn't in the actual thing, but something I've thought of is more detail, show all the steps in a simple way for the repeats. So you know when I say team 1, enter your name, team 2, enter your names, team 3, right? I might not want to do that and simply put repeat there. What I could do instead, I could repeat the entire thing, but put them in individual blocks. When I put them in individual blocks, I could maybe have block 1 and label it team 1, get names and get team name, team 2, get names and get team. And I could do that. So whichever things people have said and you've agreed with it, you're going to put those comments down here. So I could have maybe 4 different things. So let me copy and paste this 4 times. So that's the number 1, that's number 2, that's number 3, that's number 4. You put whatever you think is necessary. If you are going to make the changes, or at least try to make the changes, put them here. Don't make unrealistic changes. So don't say you're going to make your pseudocode or flowchart absolutely perfect, no errors whatsoever. Don't say you're going to make your GUI look better than, right? Just try and keep it as simple as you can and focus on things that you 100% can do. So for example, this here, this isn't very hard to do. I can just simply add more detail by adding a few more shapes in and describing what that section is doing. And then for the flowchart, again, I can say update to show all the changes made in pseudocode. And again, this and this is, they're very closely linked. So me having more detail in my pseudocode inherently means I'm going to have more detail in my flowchart as well, because the pseudocode and flowchart are supposed to represent the same thing, thus represent it in slightly different ways. The pseudocode is going to be a textual description, whereas a flowchart is going to be a pictorial description. So essentially a picture with shapes. And again, you're going to do the same thing for sketches. Now, I have nothing for sketches because I didn't do sketches. But if you're someone who has sketches, then please go ahead and do that. So that's part 2. And then the final part of P6 is, which is, I'm going to try and show this. So I might go away and do a pseudocode and do a flowchart. For pseudocode, you do the updated pseudocode, maybe after review. Let me copy that. And it's going to be updated flowchart after review. What this means, after you've actually gone ahead and done what you say you're going to do for your flowchart and pseudocode, you paste that in here. So I'm going to go back to my pseudocode at the very top, copy and paste it here, and make all the fixes I said I was going to make in this section here. So if I've got 4 fixes here, I'm going to have 4 fixes in my pseudocode and make sure that it's actually what I want it to be. And for flowchart, I'm going to do exactly the same thing. I'm going to go ahead, edit my actual flow diagram, my flow chart I created. And once I'm finished adding all the extra bits and pieces, I'm going to screenshot that or save it as a PNG and insert that under here. Again, I have nothing for sketches, so I'm going to leave sketches alone. But in the second part of this, I'm going to show you guys my updated pseudocode, my updated flowchart, and you should try and do something similar. This is how I have interpreted this section of the assignment. Now, I do have my updated pseudocode here, but I want you guys to note before you continue. The change can be as big or as small as you want, but please keep in mind the change is based on the reviews. So you should review it yourself to be fair. So at this section here where you had person 1, 2, 3, 4, you can be person 5. And you can go back over your own work and say, actually, I think I left this part out, because that's what I just did technically. So you can go back over and add something or take something away or just make it better in any which way you can. Still say what the changes are going to be made to. And down here, I've got my new pseudocode. I've highlighted the newer sections in yellow. So let me just quickly go over and explain what I've done. I'm not going to show the entire thing because this part here is going to be repeated roughly 4 more times. Yeah, for 5 teams. So again, output, display welcome message, pause process, wait for 2 seconds, output, display all the games that can be played. Now this here is the completely new section I've added in. I say output, ask team 1 if they're a single person or a team. Input, team 1 enters a value for a single person or a team. If a single person, input, team 1 enters a single name because they're a single person, right? If multiple people, input, enter 5 names. And I could say enter name 1, enter name 2, enter name 3. I could do that. It's going to be very long-winded. That's probably the best way to do it, to show every single step. Because I could also enter all the 5 names on one single line. It doesn't really matter, however you want to do it. And then say output, all names okay, should we continue? Input, get choice from user. So maybe yes to continue, or no not to continue, or 1 to continue, or 2 not to continue. The choice is yours. If all okay, so if they've chosen 1 or 2 to continue, or yes to continue, if all okay, continue to team 2's question. So team 2 is going to be asked the same questions. If not okay, return to team 1 questions. And what that means is essentially going to have a loop, so like an arrow going from this point here all the way back up to where it outputs the message for ask team 1 if they're a single team or a person. So that's what I would do. Now, I haven't changed it for every single team asking section because it's going to be the same thing again. So all I really have to do is copy this, make some space down here, let's say. Let's go on a new page again. I could make some space here. And once I paste this, I change team 1 to team 2, and I change team 2 to team 3. For example, Here I will change all this team 1 stuff here to team 2. And when I get down to this line here where it says continue to team 2's questions, I could change this to team 3. So again, all I've done here is fix this section, said how I fixed it, I've highlighted it. You could do the same thing, or you could just copy it and paste it as many times as you wanted. I didn't do it here because it would make my document very long and probably hard, well, slightly harder to understand. So again, fix it. Whatever changes you've made is perfectly okay. I think I made a few more down here as well. So let me just scroll through. I've added this section, I believe. So I've said output, show all games again. So before they start playing a game, you show all the games again, pause for 5 seconds just so they can read what's been shown on screen. I say process, game chosen at random for first list of games. Game chosen at random from list of games, and remove the chosen game from the list. Again, this is a background thing that's going to be done in Python. You don't have to show the user this. So you could just have, let's say in Python, we call it a list. In Java, we call it array lists. We could have a list of games in Python, for example, and we choose a game at random. So let's say we have 10 games. We have a random number generator that generates a random number, and whatever that number is, we choose that game from the list. Once we choose that game from the list, we add it to another list, or we remove it completely. We play the game, we add the scores, so on and so forth. So the process after that is going to be play the game chosen and automatically allocate scores. So again, the team that comes, let me just write it here. The team that comes first gets 5 points. The team that comes, let's say second, gets 4 points, and so on and so forth until we get down to 0. That's probably the easiest way to do it. Next we have output, show all the scores of all the teams for game 1, and process, pause for 2 seconds. So that's all that this is. So I've got one section I've added in for getting the details from the teams, which is this top section here. So feel free to pause this, have a look at it, read over it. Hopefully it makes sense. And then down here, I've got a new section that actually plays the first game. And again, just like before, I would copy and paste this 4 more times just to ensure that people understand that this is going to be done 5 times in total. You could have a box around it and describe what's happening. The choice is yours. I'm going to leave it simple like this so that you guys can understand it. But essentially, you would have this copied 5 times. So it would be something along the lines of this. And I maybe change this to, I don't know, let's say green. And from there, I would change everything to one team above. So instead of team 1, I would do team 2. Instead of game 1, I would do game 2. And I would paste this again. And I would change this to a different color to show that this happens 4 or 5 times. So this is game 1 being played in yellow, game 2 being played in green, game 3 being played in blue, and game 4 and game 5 just the same. That's what I would do for each of these. And then at the very, very end, I have another one. I think, I did quite a few of them. So this last thing I added here, again, it's one single line, but one single line could mean a lot. And I've said output, show the total scores of all the teams and all the games played. So team 1, you got 10 scores. Team 2, you got 15 scores. Team 3, you got 100 scores. And I would show the games played as well. So game 1 was X, game 2 was Y, game 3 was Z, and so on and so forth. Any which way you want to output this information, there's no wrong way to do it. Once you have pseudocode that makes sense, that follows a logical structure, once you have a flowchart that makes sense and follows a logical structure as well, there's no wrong way to do it. So I did this section down here as well, but it's a bit long-winded, so I'm going to skip that for now. I don't think I need to go that deep into it. This section down here was mainly for the spec, where it says that also the college would like to include the possibility of entering for only one event. Now I've added that in here. I'm not actually going to do this because it's very, very long, and to be fair, I don't want to waste time on here. And the next part I'm going to show is actually doing the flowchart from start to finish, my new flowchart in draw.io. Now, if you're somebody that wants to make use of one of the online free drawing tools like draw.io, the way you do it, way I do it, I go to my Google Drive. So you just log into your Google Drive folder. I'm going to go to new, and down here we have all the list of things that we can create. I'm going to go to more. And from more, you can use Google Drawings as well. So there are other apps you can use, but I really like draw.io, so I'm going to stick to that one. I'm going to go to where it says connect more apps. Click on that. And from the list that comes up, I should be able to search for draw.io. You could use Lucidchart as well, to be fair. That does more or less exactly the same thing, and it's completely free as well. So you could click on that one and use that one. But I like DRAW. Draw.io, I believe it's called. Search for that, and here it is. So I'm going to click on this and I'm going to install this. Continue. It's going to ask me to log in and all of that stuff. So that's all I'm going to do here. Connect. I'm going to allow all of that stuff. Done. Yep. Done. Blah, blah, blah. Close this. And now when I go back to new again and I go to more, I should have that option on there. It's called diagrams.net. Different name, but that's fine. Click on that. It's going to take me to this page. Now you can scroll through here and look for flowcharts, or flowcharts is just under engineering here. You can click on that one and it's going to give you a flowchart looking thing. Now I'm going to go to basic and I'm going to go to blank just so I can, or even go to flowchart here. It gives you all those shapes. Click create. Need to authorize it, so I might hide these details. Let's see. Continue. And hopefully that works perfectly fine. Perfect. I'm here. So these are my main shapes that I'm going to be using. It's giving me all the shapes on the left here. I'm actually going to move this stuff over to the right. Don't need that yet. The first one that I'm going to make use of is the rounded rectangle, just like I did in PowerPoint. So I'm going to click on that. It puts it on screen here. I'm going to use that yellow dot, which I use for PowerPoint as well. Click on it, hold it, and drag it in and out. What's going to happen is it's going to make it more rounded. And the more rounded it is, that's what I want. I'm going to double click in here and type start. It's a bit small for me, but let's bring that up to, let's say, 14. Drag that to the, cancel that. Drag that to the very top, and I'm going to leave that there. Hopefully that was clear enough. Now I'm going to just go to File. I'm going to go to Download or Save As or Export As. There we go. I would choose PNG because PNG is going to be the one with the highest quality that's widely usable by everyone else. SVG I would not choose. This is by far the best one, but do not choose this. Choose JPEG or PNG. PNGs and JPEGs work more or less in the same way. For smart devices, you can click on them and open them without any issue. SVG, some cases you might need to use a web browser to open it or a specialized program. Choose PNG, 100% transparent background. Yeah, might as well. Let's do export. I'm going to download it to this PC. There we go, downloaded. So now when you click on it, you just have a normal image. Now, the reason the background is black was due to the fact that I said do transparent image. When you import this into Word, which I'll do right now, to import it, I'm just going to click on the area I want it to be in. I'm going to go to Insert, I'm going to click on pictures here, to click on the arrow, this device. And mine is on, I can choose it from here as well, actually, downloads, and I'm going to click insert. Once I click insert, this is my full thing here. So I'm not going to go over this because I think me doing the first video on pseudocode and flowchart should have explained this in some detail. So hopefully that made sense. Hopefully that was useful. And this is the one I actually prefer to draw my diagrams. Now, this is not the best looking diagram in the world, but that's fine. And one thing I do want to explain actually is where it says repeat this process 4 more times, once for each team. I didn't want to do this specific thing 4 or 5 different times because my diagram would just look way too big. And doing a compressed version like this is perfectly okay. And same thing here again, repeat this process 4 more times, once for each game to be played, because I'm going to have 5 teams and I'm going to play 5 games. I think it was 5 games anyway. And that's how I would do it. It keeps it nice and short, but still has all the detail that the examiner is looking for. And anyone making this would be able to program this relatively easily because it's detailed enough. So hopefully that made sense. Sketches, I had nothing for sketches again, so I'm going to leave that part completely blank. And the next video is going to be M2, where I justify my design decisions. So I'll come back in that one. Good luck. Hopefully that was useful.